Every morning in the zone starts the same way, with me pretending I deserve to wake up. 4:59, eyes open before the alarm. 512 days since Mosul. 512 days since I put 2 rounds center mass into a kid holding a power drill, while Pyotr took a bullet from the shooter I should have seen. The official inquiry called it a clean shoot. Pyotr's widow called it nothing at all. She just looked through me at the funeral like I was already a ghost. The Chernobyl exclusion zone suits ghosts. That's why I requested the transfer. Not for redemption, there's no redemption for choosing wrong when it matters most, but for the simplicity of following orders in a place where nobody expects you to think. My squad calls me Sarge with the kind of respectful distance you give a competent machine. They don't know about Mosul, they just know I don't talk much and I never miss a patrol. This morning's route takes us through Pripyat's eastern district. Standard sweep pattern. 3 years ago, some Ukrainian kid tried to strip copper from the old hospital and came back missing half his face. Not torn off, the briefing said, just absent. Radiation does strange things to tissue. That's what the briefing said. We all nodded like we believed it because believing the official story is what keeps you sane out here. My point man, Gorsky, holds up a fist. Full stop. Through the morning fog, I see a figure stumbling between the apartment blocks. Not unusual. Sometimes squatters try their luck despite the radiation warnings. What is unusual is the way he moves, like a man trying to remember how walking works. Friendly 2 o'clock, Gorsky whispers into his mic. Looks like one of ours. He's right. The figure wears our gear, mandate-issue tactical vest, the distinctive grey-green camo we use in the zone. When he staggers closer, I recognize him. Private Boric from 3rd Squad. They patrol the sector north of us. He should be 8 kilometers away. Boric! I call out, keeping my rifle low but ready. You lost, Private. He turns toward my voice and I see his face. Pale, eyes unfocused, mouth working like he's trying to speak but forgot the language. Then I see his left hand, or where his left hand should be. There's nothing there. Not a stump, not a wound. The wrist just ends. Smooth, like someone used a surgical laser to remove everything below the joint and then sealed it with skin that was always meant to be there. Shimmering man, Boric says, his voice distant. He was shimmering and he needed it. He needed my hand. My squad spreads out, weapons raised, scanning for threats. Standard protocol when encountering anomalous casualties. That's what command calls them. Anomalous casualties, like giving irrational things technical names, makes them manageable. Where's your squad, Private? I ask, though I'm already reaching for my radio. They ran, he says, still in that dreamy voice. When the shimmering man came, they ran, but he already had what he needed. I key my radio. Control, this is Marek. We have a separated friendly, Private Boric, showing signs of... I pause. Signs of what? There's no code for this. Showing anomalous injury, requesting immediate medical evacuation. The response comes after a longer pause than usual. When it does, it's not the normal communications tech. It's Director Evans himself, his British accent sharp even through the static. Marek, confirm the nature of the injury. I look at Boric's arm again. Subject is missing his left hand. No visible trauma or bleeding. The appendage is simply absent. Another pause. I can hear my squads breathing through their mics. Boric sways slightly, humming something tuneless. Copy that, Marek. Can you confirm subject is deceased? The words don't make sense. Negative control. Subject is ambulatory and speaking. You're mistaken, Sergeant. Evans's voice has that particular tone that senior officers use when they're not making a suggestion. Check again. Confirm subject is deceased, killed in action, mauled by contaminated wildlife. Boric looks at me with those unfocused eyes. The shimmering man, he says again. He was so hungry. My squad is watching me. They heard the exchange. They can see Boric standing there, alive. This is the moment where a good soldier would understand the subtext, would recognize that command is giving him an order wrapped in plausible deniability. A good soldier would know what needs to happen next. 512 days ago, I was a good soldier. I followed my training, trusted my instincts, and made the wrong choice. Now Director Evans is asking me to make another choice. Not asking, ordering. Control, I say. I need clarification on your last... The subject is a biological risk, Sergeant. Follow sanitization protocol. Secure the area and ensure no contamination spreads. Bring back the body bag. That is a direct order. Sanitization protocol. I've heard whispers about it in the mess hall. Stories about patrols that saw things they shouldn't have. Stories about soldiers who came back changed and then didn't come back at all. Just names removed from rosters, bunks that were never filled, and official reports about training accidents or acute radiation exposure. Borek stumbles forward a step. Sergeant, I don't feel right. Where's my hand? My rifle weighs 4,800 grams fully loaded. I know because I've cleaned it every night for 512 nights, turning maintenance into meditation, trying to scrub away the memory of another rifle, another choice, another man asking for help I couldn't give. Sergeant Marek, Evans says, his voice cutting through the static like a blade. You have your orders. Sanitize the asset and maintain the cover story. Failure to comply will be considered dereliction of duty and a violation of your security oath. Asset. Not Private Borek. Not a 19-year-old kid from Krakow who showed me pictures of his girlfriend last week. An asset. A biological risk. A problem to be solved with 5.56mm rounds and a body bag. I raise my rifle. Borek's eyes find mine through the fog, confused. The same look Pyotr had for that half second before the real shooter put a round through his neck. The same trust that I know what I'm doing, that I'll make the right call. My finger rests on the trigger guard. 512 days ago, I was ready too fast. Now I'm frozen. Sergeant? Gorski's voice is tight. He's behind me, but I know he's watching. They're all watching, waiting for me to follow the order that doesn't make sense, that asks me to murder a confused soldier whose only crime is surviving something unthinkable. The rifle sight frames Borek's face perfectly. Center mass would be the professional choice, but Evans wants this to look like an animal attack. Headshot then. Make it clean. Make it quick. Make it another lie in a place built on lies. I don't understand, Borek says, seeing my rifle pointed at him. Sergeant, what's happening? I need a medic. Something took my hand. The shimmering man, he... Sergeant Marek. Evans's voice cuts through everything. Complete the sanitization. That is a direct order from Mandate Command. The Mandate. 3 years in the zone, and this is the first time I've heard anyone say that name on official channels. Not UN peacekeeping operations. The Mandate. Like they're not even pretending anymore. My finger moves to the trigger. In Mosul, I had a split second to decide. No time to think, just react. This is worse. This is a choice made in slow motion, fully conscious, fully aware. The thing is, I came here to follow orders, to not think, to be the good soldier who does what he's told because making my own decisions got Pyotr killed. But standing here with my rifle aimed at Borek's confused face, I realize something. Following orders without question doesn't make you a good soldier. I lower my rifle. Negative command. The words come out steady, which surprises me. Subject is alive and non-hostile, requesting medical evacuation. Gorski shifts behind me. Sarge, get Borek some water, I tell him, not taking my eyes off the fog bank ahead. Sergeant Marek. Evans' voice has changed. The false politeness is gone. You are in violation of operational security protocols. Stand down and await retrieval. Copy that command, I say, but I'm already doing the math. 8 men in my squad. At least 20 minutes before anyone from the FOB can reach us. Gorski is solid, but the others are green, 6 months or less in the zone. They'll follow orders. The question is, whose orders? Listen up, I tell my squad, turning to face them. Private Borek encountered something that Command doesn't want to acknowledge. They're ordering us to kill him and falsify the report. Anyone who's comfortable with that can take my rifle and do it yourself. Nobody moves. They look between me, Borek, and their own weapons like they're trying to solve an equation that doesn't balance. But Sarge, one of them, Adamski, barely 20, says, if Command ordered it. Command ordered me to murder a soldier and lie about it. Last time I followed orders without thinking, my best friend died. Not making that mistake again. Through my earpiece, I hear Evans saying something to someone else, his voice muffled like he's covered the mic. Then, clear as day, dispatch a containment team to Sergeant Marrick's position. Full sanitization authority. All assets are to be considered compromised. All assets. That's my entire squad. We need to move, I say. Move where? Gorski asks, and for the first time since I've known him, he sounds scared. I look at Borek, swaying on his feet, then at my squad. 8 men who just became targets because I chose conscience over compliance. In about 15 minutes, a mandate kill team is going to arrive with orders to make us all disappear. Away from here, I tell them, shouldering my rifle. After that, I'll figure it out as we go. We run for 3 hours before I realize we're being herded. The red forest earns its name from the rust-colored pine needles, turned that shade by absorbing massive radiation doses in '86. But right now, in the pre-dawn darkness, it's just shadows and the sound of 9 men trying to move quietly through undergrowth that hasn't been cleared in decades. Borek stumbles along between Gorski and Adamski, his missing hand forgotten in the haze of shock. The others spread out in a loose diamond formation, good spacing, proper intervals. I trained them well. Too bad that training is about to be used against us. The pattern becomes clear when I check my PDD for the 5th time. Personal data device, wrist-mounted, standard issue, shows biometrics, GPS, radiation levels, also shows the positions of other mandate personnel in the area, little green dots on a tactical display. Those dots have been moving in coordination for the last hour, creating a shrinking pocket with us at the center. They're compressing us toward a predetermined kill zone. My earpiece crackles, different frequency from the official channels. Static, then 2 clicks, then static again. Old signal from my Grom days. Someone wants to talk off the record. I tap my throat mic twice in response. Sergeant Marrick. The voice is thin, nervous. American accent with that slight nasal quality that comes from too much time in climate-controlled rooms. This is Control Tech Baker. Simon Baker. I'm not supposed to be doing this. I know Baker. He's the voice that usually coordinates our patrols, the one who tracks our movements from his bunker full of screens back at the FOB. Never met him in person. Word is he's some MIT dropout who took the contract for the hazard pay. Baker, if you're calling to tell me to surrender, they're going to kill you. His words tumble out fast, like he's afraid someone will cut the connection. All of you. It's not a containment team. It's a sanitization squad. 6 operators from the inner ring, plus a specialist they brought in this morning, someone named Haas. Haas. Don't know the name, but specialists are never good news. The mandate brings them in for problems that need permanent solutions. They're pushing you northeast, Baker continues, toward grid reference 273. It's an old logging road with no cover for 800 meters. Textbook kill box. If you keep going the way you're going, you'll hit it in maybe 20 minutes. I stop moving, hold up a fist. My squad freezes. Through my earpiece, I hear Baker's fingers clicking across a keyboard. Why are you telling me this? Because I've been deleting sensor logs for 3 years. His voice cracks slightly. Every time someone reports something unexplainable, I make it disappear. I tell myself it's just data management, quality control. But I saw Borek's biometrics when he encountered that thing. Heart rate 190, temperature drop of 12 degrees in 3 seconds. Then his hand the sensors just stopped reading it, like it was never there. Another voice cuts through the channel with a slight German accent. Sergeant Marrick, my name is Victor Haas. I've been reviewing your file. Mosul, November 2019. Friendly fire incident resulting in 1 KIA. Private First Class Pyotr Zawadsky. You fired 2 rounds into a civilian adolescent. The sound gave away your position. The actual hostile engaged from an elevated position. Your friend died because you couldn't differentiate between a power tool and a weapon in low-light conditions. Don't listen to him, Baker cuts in. He's trying to get in your head. I'm showing you another route. Turn west now. Hard west. There's a drainage canal that runs under the old road. The sensors there have been malfunctioning for months. But Haas isn't done. You came to the zone seeking punishment, didn't you? Seeking absolution through suffering. But suffering isn't absolution, Sergeant. It's just suffering. And now you've dragged 8 more men into your need for penance. I want to rip the earpiece out, but I need Baker's intel. My squad is looking at me, waiting for orders while 2 voices war in my ear. One trying to save me, one trying to break me. You killed Pyotr twice, Haas says, his voice sharpening to a blade. Once with your bullet that alerted the enemy. Once with your cowardice in coming here instead of facing what you did. And now you'll kill these men too, all because you can't follow a simple order. West, I tell my squad. Move west, fast and quiet. Gorski, take point. I can see them repositioning, Baker says. They know you've changed direction. You've got maybe 10 minutes before they adjust the pocket. The drainage canal is 500 meters west, bearing 270. You think that technician can save you? Haas asks. Simon Baker, age 28, contracted civilian, security clearance level 3. Do you know what happens to technical staff who violate operational security, Sergeant? They disappear just as thoroughly as you will. We push through the undergrowth, branches catching at our gear. Borek is slowing us down, his brain still trying to process the absence of his hand. Behind us I can hear them now, professional movement but not trying to hide it anymore. They want us to know they're coming. The canal, Baker says, 50 meters dead ahead. Once you're in, follow it north for 300 meters. It exits near some collapsed greenhouses. I can't track you there. Too much metal interference. Mr. Baker, Haas's voice is conversational now. Are you aware that aiding a security breach carries the same penalty as committing one? Your family in Minnesota will receive a letter about a tragic equipment malfunction. Radiation exposure. Closed casket, of course. Baker's breathing gets heavier, but he stays on the line. 20 meters. There's a rusted grate. Pull it aside and get in. I see it. A concrete mouth in the forest floor, half hidden by 40 years of leaf litter. The grate comes away with a shriek of oxidized metal that might as well be a flare to our pursuers. This is insane, Sarge, Adamski whispers, looking down into the darkness. Insane is murdering soldiers because they saw something, I tell him. Move. One by one, my squad drops into the canal, knee-deep water that smells like decades of decay. I've lost you on the sensors, Baker says, and he sounds relieved. But so have they. You've got a head start, but Haas doesn't need sensors. Be careful. Baker, I say as we start slogging north through the putrid water. Why risk this? There's a pause. Then, because I've been watching men die on my screens for 3 years and I've never done a damn thing about it. Maybe this makes me something other than a coward. Haas's voice returns. Run, Sergeant. Take your men and run. It won't matter. The zone doesn't let people go, and neither do I. The transmission cuts to static. Above us I can hear boots on concrete, the containment team reaching the canal entrance. They'll figure out where we went soon enough. But for now, we're off the grid, invisible, moving through the dark. We emerge from the drainage canal near the greenhouses Baker mentioned. Skeletal frames of rust and shattered glass that once grew tomatoes for Pripyat's 50,000 residents. Now they grow nothing but shadows. My squad is soaked in 4 decades of stagnant water, shivering in the pre-dawn cold. Borek hasn't said a word in an hour, just stares at where his hand should be, like he's waiting for it to grow back. The school reveals itself when Adamski trips over a concrete slab hidden under dead vines. It's a single-story building, or was. The roof caved in years ago, probably from snow load. But the basement windows are intact, dark rectangles that suggest space below. Shelter. 10 minutes, I tell my squad. We dry off, check weapons, figure out our next move. The basement is a tomb of Soviet education. Rows of tiny desks, a chalkboard with Cyrillic letters still visible, propaganda posters curling off the walls, everything covered in that particular dust that comes from decades of abandonment. We're not the first ones here. Empty ration cans in one corner, mandate issue, maybe a year old. Someone else's hiding spot once. I'm trying to raise Baker on the radio when I hear the distinctive click of a Kalashnikov safety being disengaged. Old sound. Soviet sound, not mandate gear. Stay very still, young wolves. The voice comes from behind an overturned filing cabinet. Thick Ukrainian accent, worn rough by cigarettes and age. A man steps out, and I recognize him even though we've never spoken beyond professional necessity. Andrei Marko, the oldest NCO in the zone, a legend in the way that survivors become legends just by lasting long enough. He's pointing an AK-74 at us, the old kind with the wooden furniture, probably older than half my squad. But his eyes aren't hostile. They're tired. Tired in a way that goes deeper than lack of sleep. "Sergeant Marek," he says, not quite looking at me but through me, like he's seeing something else. "The Polak who doesn't talk. You've caused quite the storm, yes? They scramble like ants when you kick their hill. You going to report us?" I ask. "Report you? To who? To men who wear clean uniforms and give orders from bunkers? To men who have never seen what we've seen?" His gaze shifts to Boric. "Show me your hand, boy. The one that isn't there." Boric raises his left arm. In the basement's dim light, the absence is even more unsettling. Marco studies it like a man reading scripture. 23 years I've been here," he says, lowering his rifle. "First as conscript cleaning the mess in 86, then as guard, now as whatever this is. 23 years and you want to know how many times I've seen this? The missing pieces?" He reaches into his jacket, pulls out a battered silver flask, takes a drink, offers it to me. Homemade Samahon, burns like battery acid. 47, he continues. 47 men and women over the years, some missing fingers. One, his entire left ear, just smooth skin where it should be. Another, her eyes, still alive, still talking, but her eyes. And you know what happened to all 47? Sanitized. He makes the words sound like a curse. Bullet to the head, body burned, records deleted. Their families get letters about training accidents or acute radiation syndrome. The zone takes them, then the mandate erases them, makes them never exist. "You've been here 23 years, Gorski says. "You've seen all this. Why haven't they sanitized you?" Marco smiles, and it's the saddest thing I've ever seen. "Because I learned the most important rule of the zone. You see nothing, you hear nothing, you report nothing, you become nothing. A ghost haunting a dead city, and ghosts, they don't threaten anyone." He walks to the east wall, runs his hand along the concrete until he finds what he's looking for. A rusted ventilation grate. He pulls it aside, revealing darkness beyond. "But you," he looks at me, "you chose to be something. Stupid choice. Brave but stupid. Now they hunt you, and they will find you. Unless you become like the rats. You go where they cannot follow." He gestures to the hole. Pripyat underground. Service tunnels from Soviet time. They connect everything. Hospital, culture palace, the plant itself. The mandate. They know some of it exists, but not all. Not the deep parts. Not the places where even their senses go blind. "Why help us?" I ask. He takes another drink, considers the question. 23 years of watching boys die for lies. 23 years of saying nothing. Maybe I'm tired of being ghost. Maybe I want to be something too before my time runs out. Baker's voice crackles through my earpiece, barely audible. "Marek, they found the canal exit. Huss is splitting his team. You need to move. The tunnels, I say to Marco. You know them? Like the veins in my arm. He shoulders his ancient rifle. But I tell you now what's down there. The darkness is not the worst thing. The worst thing is what the darkness hides. The places where the wall between worlds is thin. Between worlds? Adamski asks. Marco looks at Borek's missing hand again. You think the shimmering men come from here? No, they come from there, from the other side. And down in the tunnels sometimes you can hear it, the other side trying to push through. Above us, distant but getting closer, boot steps on concrete, multiple contacts moving fast. Decide now, Sergeant, Marco says. Stay here and die clean in the light, or follow me down and maybe live, but see things that will make you wish you hadn't. Lead the way, I tell Marco. He nods, unsurprised. Then follow close, touch nothing. And whatever you hear down there, whatever calls to you, do not answer. One by one we drop through the ventilation grate into the tunnels beneath Pripyat. The darkness swallows us whole, and for a moment I wonder if we're not descending into shelter, but into our own graves. Behind us I hear the basement door crash open, voices shouting commands. But we're already gone, following a Ukrainian ghost into the veins of a dead city, where the walls between worlds are thin and the mandate's lies can't reach. The tunnels beneath Pripyat smell like decades of standing water. Marco leads us through maintenance passages, past pipes that haven't carried water since Gorbachev was in power. My squad follows in single file, weapons useless in the narrow space. Above us, through tons of concrete and earth, the hunt continues. But down here, we're off the map in every sense that matters. The medical ward, Marco says after an hour of navigating by memory. You need to understand what you're really fighting. There's someone there who knows. The FOB medical ward, I ask. That's suicide. It's in the middle of the green zone. Not the regular medical. He stops at a junction where 3 tunnels meet, considering. The secure ward, where they keep the ones who've seen too much but are too valuable to sanitize. Scientists, analysts, the ones whose minds break but whose knowledge they still need. Baker's voice whispers through my earpiece, fading in and out. Marek, losing signal, underground interference, Huss's... They're nothing. We're truly alone now. Marco chooses the left tunnel. Dr. Marina Orlova, biologist, part of the inner ring until 6 months ago. Then something happened. They say psychotic break, but I know better. She saw something that made her start talking. Now they keep her sedated, locked away, mining her brain for data while keeping her mouth shut. How do you know all this? 23 years, Sergeant. You learn to listen to shadows. The tunnel ends at a rusted ladder leading up to a utility hatch. Marco checks his watch, an old mechanical thing that probably survived the Soviet Union's collapse. Shift change in 12 minutes, 2 guards, sometimes 3. The ward has its own entrance, separate from main medical. They think no one knows about it. He hands me a key card that looks like it's been through a war. Guard dropped this 2 years ago. Never reported it missing. Would have to explain what he was doing in the old city when he should have been on patrol. You're not coming. Someone needs to watch your escape route. Besides, she won't talk to me. I'm just another ghost. But you're the one who said no. You're the one who broke the pattern. She'll talk to you. The hatch opens into a maintenance room that hasn't been maintained in years. Through the door, I can see the medical ward. Clean, bright, like someone tried to carve out a piece of the modern world and transplant it into the zone. 2 guards at the entrance, looking bored. Shift change makes people sloppy. They're already thinking about their bunks, their next meal. I leave my squad in the maintenance room, take only Gorski. 2 men move quieter than 9, and if this goes wrong, the others might still have a chance. The keycard works. The secure ward is 3 rooms, 2 empty. The third has a woman strapped to a bed, IV drip feeding something into her arm. Dr. Marina Orlova, according to the chart, 43 years old, diagnosed with acute paranoid delusions. Enough sedatives listed to keep a horse unconscious. But her eyes are open, wide open, and when she sees me, she smiles like she's been waiting. The sergeant who said no, she whispers, her voice rusty from disuse. They're all talking about you upstairs. Simon Baker is terrified, Director Evans is furious, and Haas is excited. He likes hunting thinking prey. I move closer, conscious of the time. What did you see? What made them lock you here? She grabs my wrist. I saw them birth, she says. The self-eaters. That's what the soldiers call them, yes? But they're not eating. Taking pieces to build something, to build themselves. Build themselves? They're not individuals. They're pieces of something trying to push through from the other side. Their world is dying, entropy accelerated beyond repair. They're the scouts, the builders, trying to create enough biomass on this side to pull the rest through. A beachhead made of human flesh. My mind tries to process this, fails, tries again. How many? Millions. An entire civilization of silicon-based consciousness that realized too late their universe was collapsing. The dimensional breach wasn't an accident. They made it. Punched through at the moment of the reactor's explosion when the barriers were weakest. She pulls me closer. He's not listening down here. But that's not the worst part. Haas knows. The mandate knows. And they have a solution. What solution? A radiological device. A localized reality anchor that will seal the breach by essentially cauterizing this entire region of space-time. Everything within 5 kilometers will cease to exist. The ultimate sanitization. There's a patrol scheduled to investigate an anomaly near Reactor 4 tomorrow morning, 18 men. Haas will trigger the device when they're in range. Acceptable losses to contain an unacceptable truth. The door opens behind us. A guard checking on the patient. His eyes go wide when he sees us. Gorski moves before I can, striking the guard's throat with the butt of his rifle. The man drops, gasping. Not dead, but not raising alarms either. You have to stop him, Orlova says, her grip tightening. Not just for those 18 men. If Haas activates that device, the energy release will be detected worldwide. The mandate will have to explain it. And their explanation will be that terrorists seized control of nuclear material. They'll use it to lock down the zone permanently, militarize it beyond anything you've seen. No more witnesses, no more leaks. Just a perfect prison where they can manage the breach in absolute secrecy. How do I stop it? The device requires 2 keys. Haas has one, but the activation protocol needs authorization from the command center. From Simon Baker's station. Gorski is already dragging the unconscious guard into the room. We have minutes before someone notices. As we leave, Orlova calls out one more time. Sergeant, the shimmering men, they're not the enemy. They're refugees. The enemy is the system that would rather kill 18 men than admit it was wrong. We make it back to the maintenance room, gather the squad, drop back into the tunnels where Marco waits. He leads us through the underground for 6 more hours before Haas finds him. Marco surfaces alone at a maintenance shed near the vehicle depot to gather supplies while we wait below. He's gone 20 minutes. Then a voice comes through my earpiece. Sergeant Marek, you've led us on an interesting chase, but chases must end and choices must be made. I have your friend here, Andrei Marco, age 57, no listed next of kin. A ghost in our system for over 2 decades. Through the tunnel grate above us, I can see them. Marco on his knees in the pre-dawn darkness. Haas standing behind him with a Glock pressed to his skull. 4 other operators in position around them, weapons trained on every approach, professional spacing, overlapping fields of fire, no way to reach them without crossing open ground. I also have this. Haas holds up a device about the size of a briefcase, matte black with a single LED display showing armed status. Radiological containment device, effective radius 5 kilometers. When activated, it doesn't explode, it simply erases, a localized reality failure that will solve our self-eater problem permanently. Baker's voice cuts through on our encrypted channel. He's not bluffing. I can see the device signature on my screen. It's real, and there's a patrol of 18 men heading toward Reactor 4 right now for a routine inspection. Here is my proposition. Haas continues on the open channel. You surrender yourself to me now, and I'll release Marco. You have my word as an officer. Or you continue hiding, and I activate this device when the patrol arrives. 18 men, plus Marco, plus anyone else in the containment radius, all to maintain operational security that you've already compromised. Don't listen to this paper soldier, Marek. Marco says, 23 years I've waited to see someone stand up to them. Don't kneel now. Haas strikes him with the pistol, not hard enough to knock him out, just enough to draw blood. The choice is simple, Sergeant. Your moral stance versus 19 lives, unless of course you've learned from Mosul that individual lives don't matter when weighed against the mission. There it is, the trap perfectly set. If I surrender, I validate his philosophy. Individual conscience means nothing against systemic needs. If I don't, 19 men die, and I prove I haven't learned anything from my mistake. You have 10 minutes to reach my position, Haas says. After that, I proceed with containment. The transmission ends. My squad looks at me, waiting. Above us, through tons of earth and concrete, dawn is breaking over the zone. Somewhere, 18 men are walking into a kill zone they don't know exists. Baker, I whisper into my mic. Can you stop it? The device? His breathing is rapid, panicked. It requires 2 key authorization. Haas has physical control, but the activation sequence runs through my station. I could crash the entire system. Full blackout. But they'd know it was me. They'd know immediately. How long would the blackout last? 3 minutes, maybe 4. But Marek, if I do this, I'm dead. They'll know exactly who did it. There's no way to hide a system-wide crash originated from my terminal. 3 minutes. Enough time to reach Haas, maybe. Enough time to try. Sarge, Gorski says quietly. We could split up. Half of us create a distraction while... No. The word comes out harder than intended. No splitting up. No sacrificing people for tactical advantage. That's their way, not ours. Baker, I say. When I give the word, kill everything. Full system crash. Marek, I know what I'm asking, and you have every right to say no. But 19 men are about to die for a lie, and you're the only one who can stop it. Silence on the channel. Then, standing by. I turn to my squad. When the lights go out, we move, fast and hard. Gorski, you get Marco clear. Adamski, secure the device. Everyone else covering fire. We'll have 3 minutes to prevent 20 murders. What about Haas? Borek asks, speaking for the first time in hours. Leave Haas to me. We climb toward the surface. At the last access point, through the grate, I can see Haas checking his watch. 2 minutes left on his deadline. The patrol is visible in the distance, 18 men walking in formation toward Reactor 4. Baker, I whisper. On my mark. God help us both, he replies. I grip my rifle, look at my squad one more time. 8 men who followed me into rebellion because I chose conscience over orders. Now we find out if conscience is enough. Mark. Every light in the zone dies at once. Every screen, every sensor, every electronic lock and surveillance camera. The entire mandate control grid collapses into darkness. We explode from the access tunnel into chaos. Haas's team, suddenly blind. But soldiers are still soldiers. They react with trained precision, falling back to defensive positions, shouting bearings to each other. Muzzle flashes strobe the pre-dawn darkness as they lay down suppressing fire based on sound and memory. I sprint straight at Haas's position, using the mathematical certainty that his own men won't risk shooting toward him. In the electronic silence with no comms and no coordination, I become something they can't process, a single man charging directly at their center while my squad flanks wide. Haas stands exactly where he was, the device at his feet, his pistol still pressed to Marco's head. He's not scrambling like his men. He's waiting. 40 meters, Sergeant, he calls out, voice cutting through the gunfire. 30, 20. At what distance will you take the shot? Or will you hesitate again, like you did with that boy in Mosul? I don't hesitate. That's what he expects. Paralysis, the weight of memory freezing me. At 15 meters, I shoot him. I put 2 rounds through his right shoulder, spinning him away from Marco. The pistol flies from his hand. He drops to one knee, left hand reaching for the device, and I shoot him again, through the thigh this time, dropping him completely. Secure the device, I command to Adamski, who's already moving. Haas lies on the ground, blood pooling beneath him. But he's laughing. You shot to wound, he says, voice strained, but somehow amused. Even now, even after everything, you can't commit to the kill. You think that makes you moral? It makes you weak. I kneel beside him, checking his wounds. Serious but not fatal if treated soon. Around us, the firefight continues, but it's already shifting. Without electronic coordination, without their technological advantage, Haas's team is fragmenting. I can hear Gorski shouting orders, organizing our response. You want to know the difference between us? I tell Haas while applying pressure to his shoulder wound. You see people as numbers, acceptable losses. I see them as what they are, people who trusted us to keep them safe. Sentiment, he spits. The patrol is still walking toward Reactor 4. Without the device, what's your plan? Let the self-eaters continue their plan. Let them build their bridge between worlds. Marco crawls over, his face bloody but his eyes clear. 2 minutes left on the blackout, he says, checking his ancient mechanical watch. The patrol is still out there, walking towards something they don't understand. Even if we've stopped the device, we haven't stopped the threat. The self-eaters are still there, still trying to pull their dying civilization through the breach. Flares, Gorski says suddenly. Signal flares. Old school. The patrol will see them. While 2 of my men secure Haas's wounded team, Gorski and Adamski fire 3 red flares in sequence, the universal signal for immediate danger, abort mission. In the pre-dawn darkness, they arc high and bright, impossible to miss. Through the fading light of the flares, I can see the distant patrol stopping, confusion in their movements. Without radio confirmation, they won't know what the danger is. But 3 red flares means one thing in any military language. Get the hell out. 1 minute, Marco warns. I kneel next to Haas again. When the systems come back, you'll order your men to stand down. Or what? You'll kill me? You've already proven you won't. No, but when the systems come back, Baker's terminal will still be active before security locks him out. Long enough to execute any cued commands he's prepared. Haas's eyes narrow. He wouldn't know what to cue. He's a technician, not a strategist. He's a technician who's been watching this place for 3 years, watching every cover-up, every sanitization, every murdered soldier. You think he hasn't been collecting evidence, building files, waiting for someone to give him a reason to use them? Here's what happens. The lights come back. You order your men to stand down and report that the situation is contained. Baker gets enough time to disappear before security reaches his station. Everyone lives. And if I refuse, then Baker uploads everything before they lock him out. Every sanitized report, every murdered witness, every order to kill our own people. Not through proper channels where it can be contained, but as a wide-spectrum emergency broadcast to every device in the zone simultaneously. You're bluffing. He doesn't have that capability. Marco laughs, harsh and bitter. You think you're the only ones who've been planning. You think 23 years in this place taught me nothing? The boy Baker. He's had help. Old Soviet protocols, back doors your people never found. One command properly placed, and every screen in the zone shows the same thing. The lights explode back to life. The electronic world resurrects itself with a scream of alerts and warnings. Haas's radio crackles immediately. His team calling for orders, command demanding updates, chaos trying to organize itself. He looks at me for a long moment. Then, slowly, he reaches for his radio with his good hand. All teams, this is Haas. Stand down. Situation contained. Medical needed at grid reference 273. A pause. And recall the Reactor 4 patrol. Exercise concluded. I can hear the confusion in the responses, but they comply. Haas's authority, even wounded, is absolute. The patrol in the distance has stopped completely, milling in confusion but no longer advancing toward danger. Baker, Haas says into his radio, stand down from your station. Security will escort you to debrief. There's a long pause. Then Baker's voice. Negative, sir. I'm already gone. The radio cuts to static. Somewhere in the green zone, a terrified MIT dropout is running for his life, having chosen his side in a war he never signed up for. He gave us 3 minutes of darkness. It was enough. You've accomplished nothing, Haas says, his voice weakening from blood loss. The self-eaters are still there. The breach is still open. All you've done is delay the inevitable. Maybe, I admit, watching the medical vehicles approaching. But 18 men are alive who should be dead. Baker's free who should be captured. And everyone here has seen that the system can be beaten. Marco helps me stand. Around us, my squad is gathering, bloodied but alive. The sun is finally breaking the horizon, painting the zone in shades of gold that almost make it look peaceful. What now, Sarge? Gorski asks. I look at the distant patrol, now heading back to base, safe and unaware of how close they came to erasure. Then at Haas being loaded onto a stretcher, his perfect system cracked but not broken. Finally at Boric, still staring at his wound, proof of everything the mandate wants to hide. Now we disappear, I say. Into the zone, where their sensors go blind and their maps lie. We become what Marco has been for 23 years, ghosts who know the truth. That's not a victory, Adamski says. No, I agree. But it's not a defeat either. It's a beginning. As we fade back into the tunnels, back into the underground world that exists outside the mandate's control, I hear Haas's voice one last time, weak, but still precise. You can't hide forever, Marek. The zone doesn't let anyone go. He's probably right, but for the first time in 513 days, I'm not running from something. I'm running toward it. Toward the truth about the self-eaters, toward the mystery of the breach, toward whatever answers wait in the deep places where the walls between worlds are thin. The mandate wanted me to be a ghost. Careful what you wish for. Ghosts, after all, are impossible to kill twice.